good morning. This beautiful morning. It's day 3 of our Building Wealth Through Real Estate Investment, and today we'll be talking about title documents. So I'd like us to join in. Come and learn. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, I think we've gone past our time. It's supposed to start by 8:05, but I just started the live section a little bit late. Okay. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Okay, so my name again is Omeke Cynthia, aka Abuja Bosslady. I'm the lead consultant at Luxwell Limited, where we bring your realty dreams to reality, and we'll undertake this journey to help you understand real estate and real estate investment so that you can make the most profitable, investment when it comes to real estate. We don't want you to lose money. We don't want you to make mistakes, and that is why we are bringing all this to you to help you build wealth through real estate investment. So today, like I said, we'll be talking about land titles. We'll be talking about land titles. Now, what is title document? What is the title document? A title document is a legal document that shows proof of ownership of a particular piece of property. So every title document has the full name of the owner, the description of that property in terms of the size of the property, the actual size of the property, the location where that property is located, and the use, the purpose for that property. The purpose can be residential, can be commercial, can be mixed use. Some commercial has specification. It can be commercial, and then under commercial it can be for hospitals, it can be for schools, it can be for hospitals, schools, a recreational center. It can be for anything. So usually the title document would have the purpose for that piece of property. Every property has its specific purpose, and we'll be considering some key benefits of a title document. What are the key benefits of importance of a title document? So number 1 is proof of ownership. Oh, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so like I was saying, so number 1 importance of title document is what? Proof of ownership. So the title document helps to show that this particular piece of property belongs to a particular person. Like I said, the title document will have the name of the owner, the description of the property, and the location, the actual use of that property, the size of the property, or they are all embedded in the title document. So number 1 importance is the fact that it shows the proof of ownership. So when you have this title document, whoever come across that document knows that this particular property belongs to this particular person. And that's one of the importance of the title document. And number 2 importance of the title document is as a legal tender. It's a legal tender. It's a legal proof. Sometimes there can be a legal dispute about a particular piece of property. This is usually common in almost everywhere. Where a case study is Lagos, where we have the Omorile selling these properties, and they can sell to multiple people. In Abuja here, you have the indigenes can sell one property to different people. So when you don't have a title to prove that this property is yours, they can sell it to multiple people. And if you don't have when the property is sold to multiple people, if you don't have any proof, and your proof make it standard is that title document, that's what would prove that, okay, this property actually belongs to you. Now get me right, there's always an original, and then there's always the counter copies. So the most advisable thing to do is when you are buying properties from the indigenes, the Moriles of Lagos, and wherever you are buying the property from, once you get your title document, take it to the land registry and register it. Once you acquire that property, take it to the land registry and register it so that it can become a legal tender. In case of any dispute, it can be admissible in court, as proof that you own that particular piece of property. And then that takes me to my next point, verification and due diligence. So the title document helps you to be able to verify that particular property if there's any encumbrances on that particular property. Encumbrances, maybe there are some taxes that are yet to be paid on that particular property. There's a loan. Maybe the original owner of that property has used that property to acquire loan. When you do your due diligence, you'll be able to tell if there is any encumbrance on that particular piece of property. It will also let you know if there is any dispute, on that piece of property. And that's why at Luxwell Limited, we prioritize due diligence. We ensure that we take it to the root, trying to ensure that whatever property you're investing with us, you have peace of mind. You will not be sleeping and be thinking, will someone take my property and all that. You're sleeping, you're investing your money and going to sleep, being rest assured that that piece of property that you have invested in is yours, it is genuine, it is legit, there is no encumbrances on that property, and there is no challenge that will come out in the near future. And that takes me to my fourth point on the importance of title document. So the title document helps you to be able to access loan facility in the financial sector. So if you want to maybe take a loan from a bank or from a financial institute, they will ask for the collateral, and your title documents to be able to give you collateral to be able to access that loan or that funds. So it's a very good thing that you ensure that you perfect your title document. It is very important that you perfect your title document. And another thing also is the fact that a title document, the particular title that your property has, determines the value of that property. It increases the value of the property. For instance, if your title is just letter of allocation, if Mr. A has letter of allocation in a particular location, and Mr. B, if Mr. A has a letter of allocation in a particular location and Mr. B has C of O in a particular location, in the same location, the value of the one with letter of allocation and the one with C of O can never be the same. So how perfect your title is, the state of your title determine also the value. It affects the value of your property. Okay, so that's about the importance of title documents. So we'll be diving now into the different title documents that we have in Nigeria. And different types, I'll be talking about 7 or 8 of them. The key ones that we have that is used frequently in Nigeria. And number 1 on my list is the C of O. The C of O is the legal document that shows proof of ownership of a piece of property, and it is tenured for 99 years, but it is renewable. But the C of O is the highest form of title document, whether under state or federal government. When you have a C of O on that piece of property, it is the highest. It is the highest form of title document. And the tenure of 99 years is according to the Land Use Act of 1978, that states that all landed property belongs to the government, either state government or federal government, depending on where the property is located. So that's number 1. We have the C of O. Number 2 is the R of O. R of O is the right of occupancy. R of O gives you the right to occupy a piece of property, and then with an R of O you can move into construction, you can start building, you can start development in a particular piece of property. And R of O is what you need before you can be able to access a C of O, which is a certificate of occupancy. So it starts from the first stage of application is letter of intent, which is the 3rd point. Letter of intent is when you go to when you want to perfect your document. You go to, after the allocation letter, you go and you get a letter of intent. From the letter of intent, they will give you the designated authority will give you a right of occupancy, and then with your right of occupancy, you are able to process your certificate of occupancy, which is the C of O. And this brings me to the next point, which is deed of assignment. A deed of assignment is a legal document that shows transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer. The deed of assignment which stipulates the terms of agreement between the seller and the buyer. It can also be used as a legal tender, which is stating, because both parties would sign on the deed of assignment. Now, the deed of assignment is usually given by a legal practitioner, a law firm. So it depends on if you're buying from an individual, if you're buying from a company, if you're buying from the government itself. So the deed of assignment would show the relationship, the terms of agreement, what you both have agreed to do as regarding that piece of property. What's the duration? Are you buying it? Are you completely owning that property, or is there other terms? So it will be clearly stated in the deed of assignment. And then the next point we have here is the governor's consent. The governor's consent. Oh, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Lucky. Thank you so much for joining. So the next we have is the governor's consent. And like I said earlier, according to the Land Use Act of 1978, all lands belongs to the government, either the state government or the federal government. So the governor's consent is usually used at state level. Here in Abuja, what we use is the either the CFO, the RFO, letter of intent. That's what is more common in Abuja. They are also used in other states, as they are also used as title documents in other states. But in Abuja, we don't have anything called governor's consent, because what we have is the minister. We don't have a governor in Abuja, so what we have is the FCT minister. So the document you should be looking out for is the CFO, either from the area council or from the federal ministry from the FCT ministry. So that's for Abuja. But for other states like Lagos, Ibadan, every other state, they have the governor's consent. And we said the governor's consent is the governor putting down his signature on your document and saying, okay, I am aware that this particular piece of property belongs to Mr. A or Mr. B or Mr. C. So with the governor's consent, you can be able to process your CFO in those locations where it is applicable. And then the governor's consent also would help you in the times of disputes. Like we said earlier, when there's any dispute, it is already registered. And when someone else buys that piece of property and wants to go and register it again, it's already in their system that this particular property belongs to Mr. A. So you are able to attack that from that state. If anybody would come up tomorrow and say, I also own this property, when the person that comes with the governor's consent, that's at state level, or the CFO or the RFO, even at the federal level, and then someone who just have maybe receipt of payment, it's the person with the title document, the CFO or RFO, would definitely win the whoever has the receipt of payment alone. And you know that that does not matter. It doesn't matter if the person with the title documents bought the property last, provided he's able to perfect his document. He will win over you, who maybe have bought that property at the initial stage, but you just collected your receipt of payment. You didn't try to perfect your document. You didn't try to do anything further to ensure that that piece of property that you are investing in is now it's fully yours by perfecting your document. And then so the next we have here is the deed of sublease. A deed of sublease is used to transfer ownership for a specific period of time, for a lease period. So the original owner of that property, who has the CFO, can give you a deed of lease or a sublease, to show that, okay, this for so period for maybe 50 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 5 years, depending on the agreement that the owner of the property has with the tenant or whoever is going to be leasing that property. It's going to show the duration. The deed of sublease is going to be showing the duration of their agreement, and within that period, that deed of sublease serves as a legal tender for the tenant for that particular piece of property. And then the next we have here is the excision or the gazette. Now, excision is a situation, is a document that shows that this property that the government has initially taken possession of. Maybe for instance, there's this family that has this farmland, and the government for some reason feel like they have a need for that farmland, or they have a need for that piece of property. They can take it, because like according to the Land Use Act, all property all land rather belongs to the government. So the government has the right to take possession of that piece of property for whatever reason. And if they decide that, oh, this thing that I wanted to do with this property, or we're no longer doing it, they can decide to release that property back to the owners or back to the community. So when that happens, the property can now be sold, the land can now be sold or even developed by individuals. That means the government has exercised that particular piece of property. And then we have the Gazette. Now the Gazette is showing it's showing the list of properties that has been exercised by the government. It's showing the list of property that has been exercised by the government. So when the property is exercised, then it's they print a Gazette. A Gazette to show that, okay, this list of properties that the government has exercised is now available in the market, so that you can acquire it. It is free, you can acquire it, there's no encumbrances on the property, you can acquire it and you can begin to develop it. And the next also we have on our list is survey plan. Survey plan. A survey plan is showing the exact measurement, the length and the width of that piece of property that you're investing in. Now the survey plan is entirely in itself not a title document, but it is required. If you want to get your CFO, it is required that you have your title document, which is it's required that you have your survey plan, which is showing the exact measurement of your piece of property, the length, the width, every diameter. It's clearly stipulated. And the title document, the survey plan is usually done by a surveyor. A surveyor is the one who usually would develop the survey plan. And then the last on our list here is the letter of allocation. A letter of allocation is given to, especially when you are buying from an estate developer. The first thing they want to give you is either a provisional allocation or a full allocation on that property, saying that this specific area belongs to Mr. A, Mr. B, or Mr. C, and it is for this particular use. You stipulated this particular use, the exact size and the particular use of that property is stipulated in the letter of allocation. Now from the letter of allocation, you can begin now to perfect your title upward. You can now get an RFO, get a CFO and all that. But in most real estate companies, they will usually get a general title document. Say they will get a general CFO or they get a general RFO. So in situations like that, when you've gotten your letter of allocation, you can now move to asking the company that you bought from, that, okay, I want to perfect my document. I want my RFO or my CFO to be in my name, not just in the company name, so that you're able to take full possession of your piece of property, the land that you have gotten in that particular place. And in such a situation, you go to the company will help you to process it, and then sometimes they might direct you to the state government or the federal government, as the case may be, the land registry where you are meant to do it, to be able to get that done for yourself. But in most cases, in most real estate companies, they usually will have a general CFO or a general RFO for that particular piece of property. And like I said earlier, CFO is the highest form of title document. When you have a CFO over a particular piece of property, there is no risk of losing that property. And like I said, it is tenured for 99 years, which is renewable after that 99 years has elapsed. So therefore, when you're buying a piece of property that already has a CFO, it is important for you to check when was this CFO granted, so that you can now begin to check and know if you would need to renew the CFO like almost immediately, or you have like up to like 50 years more to possess that CFO before the change or before you're renewing the CFO. But for the RFO, is also tenured for 99 years, but it is upgradable to a CFO. There's a need for it to be upgraded to the CFO. So most people don't really pay much attention to the RFO, which is the right of occupancy. They would always want to get a CFO, but it takes steps. Like I said from the beginning, it starts from the letter of intent. That's the first step, and then the next step is right of occupancy, and then the next step is now the CFO, which is the final step. So I want to take a quick recap for today's section, and first look at the importance of title documents. And we said it's for proof of ownership. It's a serve as legal tender in court if you're having any dispute over that piece of property. It serves as legal tender. It also helps you to access fundings and finance from the financing institute. It also serves as a document for due diligence. It helps you to be able to do due diligence on that piece of property, to know if the piece of property is worth investing in, if there are any encumbrances on that property, or it is free from all known encumbrances. And then it is also it helps to avoid scam. It helps to avoid scam when a piece of property in a situation where the individuals involved keep reselling that piece of property. So when you have a title document that is perfected, you are able to cut off that fraud. And then we also looked at the different title documents that we have. We saw the C of O, the R of O, letter of intent, deed of assignment, governor's consent, gazette and accession and gazette, survey plan, deed of sublease. I think these are all that we've discussed, and I hope that this helps you, in your next buying decision, so that you know what you are getting yourself into. And if you don't know how to check, if you don't know how to do your due diligence, be sure to get Luxwell Limited engaged to help you do your due diligence, to help you ensure that that piece of property that you are buying is legit. There is no non-encumbrances on that piece of property. It is free from every encumbrances, and you are rest assured that once you buy, you can go home and sleep and not be scared of any issues in the future. Once again, I am Omeke Cynthia, and thank you so much for being with me all through to this point. And I hope to see you on Monday. Where we'll be looking at some common mistakes that first-time investors make and showing you how you can avoid those mistakes. And until we meet again, I am Omeke Cynthia, aka Abuja Bosslady, the lead consultant at Luxwell Limited. Bye for now.